February 2021. Traveling is still very limited. This will change, but for now let's travel together in our minds. Come with me and live through all my Alaska trips. Let's start at the very beginning. Why should I go to a foreign country to find gold? I can find gold here as well. Let me tell you just one thing. I went to Alaska to search for gold, but I tell you, my friends, I found so much more. Doesn't have to be Alaska necessarily. Maybe what Alaska means to me, my home country, means for somebody else. You could play this game with every country on the planet. And sure, it has to be the right time. Budget must be okay. Time budget as well, and etc., etc. But imagine if everything was okay, if we really had the chance, would we be ready to pull the trigger? We don't have to pull the trigger. Everybody has his own path. Let's jump back in time to the year 2005. After I started with gold prospecting, I was asked pretty often, "Now, Andreas, you're a gold prospector. I'm sure you dream of going to Canada, Alaska, Klondike, Dawson City." Well, no. Why should I? Why should I spend money for something I can do here as well? I said, pretty cool. But what I thought was, would I even find gold there? Why should I increase the risks? Risks of failure, risks of real dangers. Foreign country, foreign people, foreign language, mosquitoes, bloody wildfire, earthquake,
bears, moose, and even bloodthirsty Jack Russells.
Well, at that moment in 2005, I could not know that I'll meet Jack Russells in Alaska, but they are worth mentioning right now because they have hearts like lions. For sure, they will chase a black bear on a tree. This happened. They think they are huge. So, I stayed in my home country, in the creeks of my home country, and I really had a great time with friends, and we really found a lot of very nice gold. And then there was the year 2015. My wife changed her job and it was already pretty late in spring. She wasn't able to have the summer vacation with me, and one day she said to me, "Schwendin, why don't you go to a foreign country for gold prospecting now? Do it! Do it now! Do it!" she said. And my dear wife, thank you so much for kicking my ass. It really had an impact on my life in some way. Do you know the so-called butterfly effect? After that I started to think about it again, and pretty soon I ended up with Alaska, with Chicken Gold Camp in the 49 mining district in the midst of huge wilderness. I asked my friends, but unfortunately everybody already had their vacations booked, so they had no time, and I was on my own. Sure, I could do this alone. I gave my best and really made a solid planning and was ready to book. But man, I was so hesitant.
When you're a professional procrastinator, you plan to do things. You just never do.
I remember very well this afternoon. I was sitting behind my computer monitor and yeah, my finger literally was hovering over the mouse button to book. But I felt so unsure. I was thinking about all that shit like costs and risks and all this unknown stuff. And then came this one single second which changed so much. I pulled the trigger. This was the starting chart for 5 Alaska trips in a row. The following experiences rank very, very high for me personally. It culminated emotionally in the year 2018 when my wife came with me to Alaska herself, together with her awesome brother and his great 2 kids. I still have goosebumps when I think back to the 2018 trip. And of course the trip 2019 with Andy. The 2019 videos are already on my channel. You have to check them out. By the way, the gun you've seen before belongs to a really good guy.
Or you can put the magazine
It's a 10mm Glock 20. 9mm just annoys an Alaskan grizzly. 10mm may repel him if you're lucky. Therefore I always have a Swiss Army knife with a deadly toothpick. Don't mess up with the Swiss. In my first year I was flying with Condor Airlines via Frankfurt to Fairbanks in interior Alaska. I picked up my rental truck camper directly after arrival. I went to Walmart to buy canned food and water for 3 weeks, and then I slept on an RV park in Fairbanks. After I left Fairbanks the next day, I was aware that I will soon lose the cell phone connection. I stopped somewhere to call my wife a last time. A few miles after that phone call, I lost cell phone reception definitely. And then I was alone on the highway. When I say alone, you must know something. In Alaska you can drive for miles alone. But you can be sure if you stop to pee, somebody will show up. In Alaska you're never really alone. There are good people living there. And even if you don't see any bears, likelihood is very high that the bear sees you. And then, when I was driving alone on the endless highway in my Ford pickup truck, my mind flying free like an eagle over the taiga, then I realized I already found my first Alaskan gold. What you see here is in fact the Glen Highway to Anchorage, as some of you may have noticed. But let's end this episode with the very only original footage I have from my very first drive from Fairbanks to Chicken.